for some unaccounted reason, the human race seems to weed out people such as myself who are not quite, I mean, I'm all there, but not quite the same as the norm. I grew up in a place called Meningie down in southeast in South Australia, down near the Coorong, that's having all the water problems at the moment. That's been all over Australia on the news. When I was a kid, at 6 months, I had a stroke. My left arm's a bit, it won't work properly. I mean, I can't turn it over. There's times I'd like to grab the chainsaw and cut it off. I went through a bit of a hard time with that, and ended up in jail, done a bit of time inside, which I'm not real proud of. I was never real good at school. I only just, and I mean only just, finished year 10. When I was growing up, my dad was very hard on me. The bottom line, my dad's a stern and hard, brought up in the old ways. And hey, that's the way he done it, that's the way it is. I actually met Amy probably about 13, 14 years ago now. I used to do a lot of singing. I flirt around with all the girls as I always have, but Amy was never I always looked at Amy a different way than what I did the girls.
Apples was very outgoing, just got everybody involved in the singing and the karaoke and that kind of stuff.
I know it's an old cliche, but love at first sight.
I never actually noticed the disability at all, because he was just always so outgoing, and Apples is just Apples.
In Australia we have about 1 in 5 people who have a disability that affects their activities of daily living. Okay, so at least 20% of people, employed or otherwise, have a disability.
I was unemployed, so I got a letter from the unemployment office saying I had to go and register with a employment service thing.
If people have a disability that's visible, the assumption is made that they can't work, they're not going to be as productive as other employees.
As an employer, that was obviously the first thing they noticed, because a lot of our friends have even said, never even noticed the arm.
For many people who have some sort of impairment, they don't think of it as a disability. They just think of it as something that they have to live with, that they have to get through every day with a part of their body that's not working in the same way as many other people work. So they won't advise that they do have a disability coming through. So it's often not until a person's been unemployed for 12 months or more that it's actually picked up.
When I first started with Employment Plus, I had a permanent contact. Someone that you can just ring up and say, listen, what the hell is happening? Staying in trouble? Yes. Getting towards the end, like, with mum dying and so on and so forth, and not working and so on and so forth, it really got to the stage where it's like, no, I've had enough. I just cannot handle it anymore. I just want to put a gun to my head and just end it all, because it's the amount of knockbacks and don't ring us, we'll ring you, any excuse under the sun.
You'd see it initially probably a half hour after he got home after an interview that he was upset and disappointed, and he knew he wasn't going to get the job.
Unfortunately for Apples, it was deemed by many people that he had been drinking, and that was the effects of too much alcohol, that he couldn't speak properly and he couldn't walk properly. So that sort of lack of understanding within the wider community as to what's going on is a barrier beyond even having the disability.
I got a letter in the post saying I had to go and see a guy about a job, with a tree lopping company. And yeah, here we go, another bloody knockback, it's a tree lopping company, I can't do it. Getting to that stage where you just don't give a damn about anything, And so I eventually went, rocked up there, and so I just rocked up in the old clothes. He said, you're hired. So that led to me working with him for over a year. After that year, David and his wife wanted to travel around Australia, and come up to me and my wife Amy and said, would you like to buy my business? Well, that led to about a 6 month sort of, I mean, it was an instant, yeah, we'd kill to do it, you know. And we went through every avenue we could possibly get to get the money to buy it, and here I am. I'm now the boss of my own company. It was very daunting. Like, I'm not a good reader. I mean, if I get an important letter, I've got to get my wife to read it to me. Once she's read it to me, I can then decipher it all. You know, I mean, if it hadn't been for my wife, you know, I probably wouldn't have done it because I didn't have any backup type of setup. My dad's a huge critic of me. He was of the opinion that I'd never ever make anything myself. But when I told him that I was when I told him that I was actually buying the business and making a go of it, he was pretty much like me at the moment. He was in tears. He was that proud and that honoured and that, you know, my son's a business owner, you know. To have your dad stand there sort of in tears and he's that proud and that honoured for me, you know, it puts a great sense of pride in me too, because my dad's finally proud of me.
To me, he is just a shining example of the reason people work in the employment services industry. He never gives up.
I want to educate people about people such as myself with a disability. We're not useless. We're not dumb. We're not, you know, we're not incapable of doing anything. Whatever you guys can do, we can do it just as well. We might go about it a different way, but at the end of the day, we are still capable of doing basically anything. You are who you are, and when you learn to live with yourself the way you are, you know, that opens up so many doors. I don't see it as a disability. I really don't. I mean, I see it as an inconvenience at times, but other than that, I just do it. I don't know how I do it, I just do it. Here we go. Where's the baby? Where is she? Is she? This is what makes it all worthwhile. And in all honesty, I wouldn't change my arm, I wouldn't change my stroke, I wouldn't change nothing. Not one thing. Because it's made me who I am today.